Hello everyone. So in continuation to previous videos related to integration, in this video we are going to discuss about scripted inbound REST web services. So previously we have discussed about what is web services, then what are different protocols like REST or SOAP we can use. Then we have talked about script direct web services, and then we talked about import set web services. So in this series, we will continue now with the scripted REST web services. So in import set web services and the direct web services, we have certain limitations. Like in direct web services, where we need to share the table API, we don't have any control over the data sent by a consumer tool. That means a third party tool. Whatever data they are going to send, we need to accept as it is. And if they are not able to send the data in the format which ServiceNow target table or fields are accepting or expecting, then we cannot use direct web services. Then we switch to import set web services, where we were able to do some validations. We were able to modify the data before sending it to our target table. Then in case of import set API, we used to say import set table, endpoints, and other details. Now you will be facing a scenario sometimes where you cannot fulfill it even through import set as well as direct web services. Basically, customer wants some very detailed and kind of their process oriented, process specific error messages, error handling. So in those cases, you sometimes switch to scripted REST web services. Also, there could be cases where customer want a single endpoint should be allowed to create records in multiple tables. So these kind of situations where you cannot make use of both of those import set and then direct web services, then we switch to import set web services. So to explain and to design inbound scripted REST web services, we have an example here today. So we need to develop a API which is required for the server creation in Windows and Linux server. And it should also send the appropriate detailed error messages at each stage. So if we talk about creation of server in Windows and Linux, so if we use the direct web services, then I think we will creating two endpoints. And then in future, if there is a requirement of third server, that could be Unix or maybe any other server like ESX server, then again we will be creating one more endpoint. So for the third party consumer tool, there would be kind of 3, 4 or 2 integrations. Now, as we want a single endpoint to be capable of this, now if we will talk about fulfilling this requirement through import set, we may be able to fulfill it, but that might not be kind of that much good or effective solution. So like if you remember in import set web services, we need to create a transform map. And in transform map, you can always map it to one table. So here we have two tables, Windows and Linux. And in future, they could be extending as per the client need or client scope changes, maybe Linux, HPUX, ESX, many server come into picture. Now, one way is all these server classes in the CMDB have parent as CMDB CI server. So share the endpoint of that and then create it. But again, all that servers will be going to parent table, as target table would be, or the endpoint direct web services endpoint would be a server table. So in those cases, now we need to write some specific code which is related to this requirement, which can fulfill this requirement. we need to switch to scripted REST web services where we can write a fully custom code. We will have full control on that code, what we need to pass, what we need to accept, what we need to send as an error message, what we need to send as a successful messages. So basically we can say this is the kind of most powerful in terms of when it comes to fulfilling a specific requirement, where you can write any code basically based on different ServiceNow classes, and you can design your API as per the requirement. So for this case, as per requirement, we have certain fields which third-party tool which is going to consume this API need to send in the JSON. So first thing I have is the server name. That should always come. Then server class, I want them to send which server class they are going to create a record. Then OS domain, operating system, many other things which are finalized as part of requirement. The first thing, we need to create a JSON which we would be expecting them to send as part of the requirement when they are going to send a server creation request. So certain things you would require mandatory, like server name should always come, server class should always come, then only you can identify in which particular table your server need to be created. Then OS domain, it could be mandatory. Operating system should be mandatory, because without operating system, server record doesn't make any sense in the CMDB. Then to which domain it belongs, what is the IP address, and the short description. Now what I will do, I will jump to ServiceNow instance and I will showcase how we can design a web service which will be fulfilling this particular requirement. So now I am in ServiceNow instance. So how you can start with scripted REST web services? So you can type scripted here in application navigator filter, and under system web services you will find scripted REST API as well as scripted SOAP API. So if you are integrating with SOAP, you can design the SOAP one. In this example, we are going to cover the scripted REST API. So you can click on new here, and then you will find many other APIs already developed for your. You can click new, and then you can give a meaningful name. Maybe I'm giving here test now, and this API ID system will automatically take. Once you will save this, you will see the base API path. So basically this would be the base path of your, or base endpoint of your API. Then under this API, you need to create resources. So those resources would be either put, patch, delete, or post, or get, based on the requirement. So if you are creating a new record, then it should be post. Then if you are designing it for update, it should be put or patch. And similarly, you can use delete and get as per your requirement. Then here inside the resource, which will be processing the request received from third party tool. For this demo purpose, I have already created this scripted REST web service. So I am going to open. So here I have put a name which is create update server. Then this name will be automatically taken, and a relative basic URI path will be created. Now inside a scripted REST web services, you can create as many as resources as per your requirement. Maybe you want one, we are going to cover for the create server here, then another one for the update server you can create, then maybe for getting some records from particular tables you can create. Now once inside you are inside a scripted REST source, then if you are designing multiple function inside, multiple resources inside a scripted REST, then you will have to provide the related path so that you can segregate all the resources. So let's say if you are going to use another method for updating the server detail. So the related path basic URI is going to be this, and then further this path will be appended with this insert for server creation, and similarly for update you may put as update, and then it will be appended with base URI. Now I have selected the post method. Then if you see, the resource path has been generated automatically as API.this. This was, if you remember, this is the path which was auto generated on your scripted REST. So if I show you, this is the same. And then further it was appended with the resource related path. So this is going to be your endpoint. Now, even I will show you how you can generate this endpoint to share with your third-party tool once your web service is ready, or even for testing your web service. So first thing, if you remember, I have designed my, what we will say, as you know, we designed our JSON, which I have showed you. Let me show again to you. So this was the JSON which we designed for the server creation. So our API will always expect the third-party tool who is going to consume this web service supposed to send this JSON as part of the request body. Now again, if I will go to our ServiceNow instance here, so how this particular thing is going to work. So here I have defined a variable where request body. In this variable, I am going to get the request body which is sent by consumer tool. So when you will open or create a new resource, you will find this function automatically coming, and then inside this, these two objects, request and response. Understanding these is very important, because this request part is going to give you the data which is sent by third-party tool during the request was sent from them, and the response part is something what you want to send them back as part of that whole process of the server creation. So these parameters are going to play an important role in this full designing. So first we started, as we need to get our API need to get what is sent by third party consumer API who is going to consume our web service. So that's what we are saying. We are trying to get the request body sent by them, and we will be telling them what they need to send as part of the request body. So we want them to send this as a request body. So always this will be coming, and our API will always be processing the things based on this particular JSON. Then I am getting the data string from that body, and here I am trying to put the log. So for the troubleshooting purpose, if there is any error in the request processing, or somehow server is not created, so I can trace them later. Okay, what was sent from the consumer side. Now then, my whole code is going to be written inside this script include. So here I am calling this script include, and inside that I have a function called process server insert request, and I'm passing request JSON and response object. Request JSON, if you see line number 4, I have generated this request JSON object. So basically in this we have the data string of the JSON which is sent by consumer API, and as well as I'm passing the response object so that I can set appropriate response for the consumer API at different stages when my code will start validating this request JSON. So now let's just switch to script include. So here if I will type script include, this is our script include. I will open this. Now, if you see, this is the function which we were calling from our scripted REST resource, which was create server. And this is accepting those two parameters which we passed from scripted REST resource, that is request JSON and response. Now, these are few variables which we have created for kind of doing some validation, which you will be seeing later part of this code. Now, first and foremost thing, what we should check. Main thing while designing your custom API, you need to do a proper error handling, because it's not out-of-box API. ServiceNow is not going to handle anything. As you are designing the custom, you need to do full validation of your API and handle the error at each and every point. So first thing, what a consumer API can send is wrong. We ask them to send a JSON. They may not be sending a JSON. First things, we should validate the JSON. If that way, JSON is correct or not. So that's what this line number 18 we are trying to do. We are calling a function called check JSON validity. So this is a private function which is being called inside this script include. And here I am passing this JSON, which was sent by third-party tool. So if I go to this function here, what I am doing, not here, it's here. So this function is there, and this function is trying to parse the request from the JSON parser, and if it is a valid, then it's going to return true, and if it's not a valid JSON, then it's going to be in the exception loop, and it is going to return the false. So if it is returning true, that means it is successfully passed through JSON parser, and that says this JSON is valid. So if we go up here, the true or false value will come in this valid JSON variable. Now in the next line we are saying if valid JSON, means the JSON sent by third-party tool, if it is a valid JSON, then go inside this loop. Else, if you come down, else we are coming here, which is basically failure response because request JSON is invalid. Now here I am defining two things, error detail and error message. In error message, I am saying it is a bad request, and then in detail I am telling, okay, what is the bad request? You have sent an invalid JSON body. So these two variables, you see, I have defined at the top, because they are going to use at multiple places for sending this error message whenever a validation is not done properly, or there is an problem in the request sent by third-party tool. Now here again I am calling a send failed error message function. This is again a private function. Into this function I am passing the response object which we have passed through our scripted REST resource, and it is here. So if I, and then what error code you want to send them. So you can define more kind of specific code. This is a generic code, 400, when there is a problem from the client side. And then these two values, error message and error detail. Now let's just go to this function. So this is our function. It is for generating the response, error response, whenever there is a validation done and the request is not in correct format. And this function is accepting 4 parameter which we were sending when we were calling. So we response the object which we need to set here, and then status code what exactly we want them to send, and then error message and detail which will be different based on what failure is happening. Now here the important part is understanding about this class. So you need to use this class for sending the error messages. So you need to instantiate this class, and then using the object of that class you can set message and then the message. Like here, if we remember, we were saying bad request, and then setting the detail of that message. Okay, what exactly you want to say bad request, then explain it why it is a bad request. So here I am setting set detail, and this detail was passed in this error variable. Then set the status code for that object, and then set the content type. I have set as application JSON. So basically the response is going to be sent to the third party tool in the form of JSON. And then setting this response variable with the object which we have prepared using this class for sending what exactly is going to be the error message, detail, and then the status. So we are going to set at the end into the response object. Then here nothing, it's just putting in our ServiceNow logs so that we can refer later. Okay, for this particular request, what response was sent, why API was failed, all those things you can also refer at the later stage, so that that's why you can put these logs. It's optional if you want. This is important, how you send error messages at different stages inside your scripted REST API. Now coming to our further line. So if JSON is valid, then it will go inside this loop. Now what I am doing, I am parsing it through a JSON parser, and then first thing was server name should always be valid. So it should not be empty, it should not be kind of undefined. So that's what we are checking here. If server name is not empty and the server name is not undefined, so this function is defined below, so you can check undefined thing. Then go inside the loop. Like when server name is valid, then only go inside this loop and start processing further things of the JSON. If server name is invalid, then again it will go into the else loop and it will say failure because server name is empty in this request. And then you are saying missing required parameter. As server name was required parameter, so you are saying missing required parameter, and what parameter is missing, that's what you are telling in the detail, like server name can't be empty. And then again calling the same error message function, which will send the error message to third party tool who is going to consume your API based on these details which you are going to pass to that function. Now let's say if they have sent valid server name, then what you will do, where all server going to exist, they are going to be in the CMDB CI server class. So what you are trying to check here, whether that server already exists, whether a server already exists in your table with that name. If it already exists, then it is not meaningful to create new server with the same name. So what you are doing, you are trying to query this table, and then here if you see nodes, you are putting not if server is existing. Then what you are doing, you are going to else loop and you are saying failure response because server with this name already exists. And then error message, new server creation not allowed. Why not allowed? in the detail, you are going to set server with this name already exists and then calling send error message function. So if server doesn't exist in ServiceNow, then it's going inside this loop. And here we are going to validate other parameters like validating the server class. If server class valid, is domain valid, is environment valid. So these parameters kind of going to be changed based on your requirements. So whatever things you need to validate, you can validate them. And here I am defining these functions to validate these parameters. So if I go to one of the function, how you can validate. So to check whether the class sent by them is valid. So if you remember, we have Windows and Linux as part of scope. So we are expecting them to send either Windows or Linux as part of our server class key. So server class key should always have either Windows or Linux. If they are sending anything else from this, that means it's not a valid value. So these kind of validations you need to put in your code before you start creating the server. So that's what here we are checking. If the server class is equal to Windows, then valid is true. If it is Linux, then valid is true. Else valid is going to be false. So similarly, we are putting other checks on other fields, like if it is a valid OS domain, then based on the customer requirement, the validity, how you are going to check the validity, that then it's a valid environment or not. Maybe you want like only prod and dev should be created. So if they are sending prod and dev, that should come. So these all validations are written in these functions. Once these all are validated, now what we are doing here, we are checking if all these parameters are valid based on the definition defined in these different functions. Then what we will do, we will create the server. If they are not valid, then it's going to be an else loop. And here we are trying to set the failure response. So we are saying if the server class is not valid, then add in the message like server class expected values, Windows, Linux. Then if it is a OS domain is not valid, and this message you can define. And we are going to again set invalid required parameter, and this is going to be our message which we have generated using this. And then we are going to again call this error message function. Now once, let's say they have sent all the things as valid, then what we'll do, we'll try to create the server. So what we will do, first we need to get the server class. Now to create a record, try to create a server means creating a record either in Windows table or in the Linux table. Now what you can do, first thing you need to get the class of the server. So if it is a Windows, if they have sent the Windows, then what should be the class? So here I'm trying to get the class based on what they have sent as part of the server class key of the JSON. Now if I go to this function here, so if they have set request JSON parser, basically in the JSON of the request, if they have sent as Windows, then this function is going to return class as cmdbci_win server. That means the record should be created in this table. And if they have sent as Linux, then this is the class which this function is going to return. Now coming back to further on the top of the code. So here, based on what they are sending, this particular function is going to return the class, and this variable is going to have that class. Remember, before coming to this loop, we have already validated whether the value is server or Windows is there or not. If they are sending anything else, the code, this code is not going to be inside this loop. So once they will send either Windows or Linux, then only this particular thing is going to run. Now I'm glide recording on the table, which is basically being get dynamically based on what third party API is going to send, and then initialize the simple glide record creation. And then what I'm doing, I'm setting name as what is sent as part of JSON, then OS domain from the JSON environment, all these variables you can set to the required field. And then I am doing an insert and I am trying to get the SysID generated as part of new inserted record. Here again I am putting, although everything was correct, and still there is something happened from the ServiceNow side, the record was not inserted. So if it is empty, that means record is not inserted. Then it's again going to send the error message. Unexpected error occurred, and here we are sending code as 500. So means there is something happened from ServiceNow side, that is a server error, and then here we are putting this error message. So now once everything is fine, if server is generated properly, then it is going to send the successful response. And what I am doing, I am saying that set the response. I am trying to generate a kind of array of what we need to send as part of response. So I am setting this ID of the server and then message server successfully created, and then I am setting it in the response body, and I am passing this array generated, and then I am setting the response code. So now in case of successful, this is going to be the kind of your response. So if you have observed, there is a multiple level of validation at different stages. So in scripted REST, you need to handle all those things, and maybe further other scenarios may come, because if you will not handle, your API is going to fail, because there is nothing which is basically you are going to get as part of ServiceNow out of box, because this is total custom API. You need to handle each and everything. So whenever you are going to create a scripted REST, try to handle each and every aspect of your code, because otherwise it's going to be failed. And also you need to do a thorough testing of your API. Now when we are done with this, what you can do, you can go to your scripted REST source, and then here you will get explore REST API link, or what you can do, you can directly go to REST API Explorer, and you can select your API, select global, so if you will select the namespace as your instance namespace, and then inside that all your custom API you are going to get. So here I have create update server, then under that whatever resources you are going to have, they will be available here. So I'm going to test this create server resource. Then what I will do, I will just pick my JSON and put here. So first thing what I'm going to do, I'm going to send an incorrect JSON. So I have removed this last curly braces, and I will try to send. So what it said, it says 400 bad request, and then if you go to the response, it is saying error, and then message is bad request and invalid JSON request. So if you remember, first thing we have checked was if the JSON is valid or not. So the API is going to send appropriate message at first itself before start processing anything. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to send the correct. So it is saying bad request, invalid request JSON. Again, what is the issue? There might be some issue. So now if I will try to send now, see, it's saying now we have sent the valid JSON, but there are many other things which are missing. So it's saying invalid require parameter, OS domain is where DNS domain, IP address, and environment expected values are these. And then as we are sending the Windows, so it's saying like operating system expected value for Windows Linux is this, and for Windows this should be, and then these values can't be invalid or empty. So we have to put some values here. OS domain, I'm going to put test, then I'm going to put DNS domain test. I need to define environment, then IP address. So description. So now if I will try, let's see what is the issue now. So it's saying invalid request body JSON. Okay, what is the issue in the JSON then now? Okay, let me see the JSON. Okay, how this can here. Okay, now again try it. So it's saying still operating system is missing. So if we are passing Linux, let me copy a valid value of operating system, put it in the request. So if you see, this is how you can like do a kind of good level of error handling in your scripted REST API. So very important part is the error handling in your scripted REST API. Now if I will send, you see successfully created 201, and if you go to this one, this ID if I copy and if I go to the server class, all, and then if you see, this just created now, and if I open this one, then if you see the name, IP address, then OS domain, DNS domain, description, all those things are populated like operating system. So this is how you can make use of your scripted REST API. Now, similarly, if you are like going to, this is going to support for your, where is the Linux server creation. So let me again go to the REST API Explorer. REST API Explorer. Now, when when third-party API want to create the Linux server, they can pass here as Linux, and then further they can pass the other required parameter, and they can create a record in Linux table. So this was a simple example which is kind of explaining how you can design a scripted REST API where you can make use of a scripted REST API. REST, it is going to vary based on your requirement, but this is how you can design your scripted REST API when you are not able to use direct inbound web service or import set web service. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe the video. I will be back with some more videos on different concepts.